Hey guys, Chase with iDub Hockey, hanging out with Brian Molnar, who is the Director of Engineering for True Hockey. Brian, thanks so much for joining us. We have some really exciting news and gear in front of us. But before we start talking specifically about the new tech and spec, what can you tell me was the driving goal behind this Project X stick?
The goal really for Project X was not just to create the lightest weight stick on the ice, but make sure it's a high performing stick. I think one of the things we saw with some of the really super light sticks out there was there's a little bit of sacrifice in performance made to get that weight out. When you remove material from a stick, you remove stiffness, you remove torsional stiffness, you remove impact strength, you're making sacrifices across the board, and we didn't want to make those sacrifices. So we focused more on new technologies, on new materials to get us to the specs we wanted to be for a high performance stick, while at the same time meeting that weight target.
So what is the weight of this? I know it's the big story. So to tell everyone out there, how low did you guys go this year?
We went down to 355 grams on the Project X, and compared to our lightest stick today, which is the AX9, which is at 393 grams. So it's a significant reduction in weight. To get there, we used some new materials, very thin materials. Thinner materials allows you to, create more layers in the stick, 26 layers in this case. And what that does is it manages those interlaminar shear forces without getting too technical. It basically helps you to make a lighter stick without losing strength. We also changed our philosophy a little bit on the laminate design. And we wanted every layer, each of those 26 layers, to contribute not only to the stiffness of the stick, to get the stiffness profile we wanted, but also to provide a little bit of impact strength in every single layer, provide some torsional stiffness. So when you flex that taper of the shaft, the blade's not flying open on you. And we wanted a stiff blade. We noticed everything out there that had a very light weight was a pretty soft blade. And typically in a low kick stick, you want that stiffer blade because it's all about speed. You don't want that blade deforming too much when you're taking a shot. You want that puck coming in and flying off the blade as quickly as possible. So the design is really all about speed, performance, and of course the goal is lightweight, but we didn't want to just put a lightweight stick out there that doesn't perform.
Yeah, that's what's so cool about this PLD, technology or kind of philosophy here is that, yeah, it gets it ridiculous light down to 355 grams. But as we were talking previously too, it does such a good job of managing those impacts over a longer time span, but also with this kick point, that is the lowest kick point you guys have ever released, it keeps that blade face a little more square to the target, so you're not losing accuracy as you're taking those shots. So as I kind of mentioned there, and a lot of people were huge fans of the AX9, how would you compare the kick point, and then also how would you compare the overall blade construction of this Project X to the AX9? Okay.
So the AX9 and the Project X are both going to be classified as a low kick stick. And when we talk about low kick, it's, the overall flex profile and where is that shaft bending the most when you load it. So if it's a low kick, it's bending in the taper section the most when you load it. Now, if you look at the spectrum of low kick sticks, not everybody has the same flex profile. The AX9 is going to be on the stiffer side in the taper section for a low kick, because we didn't want to create a stick that was too soft in the taper for those guys that, might take a few more slap shots or might take a few more bigger shots. So while it's classified a low kick, it's going to be in that stiffer section in the taper with the AX9. The Project X is also a low kick, but if you look at all the low kick sticks out there, it's going to have one of the softest tapers. Mm-hmm. So this part of the shaft is going to be bending more than the AX9. So again, it's all about speed. You want it to load very quickly. So this taper section is going to load effortlessly compared to any other stick out there. Now, as you mentioned, with the PLD technology, some of the problems with very soft tapers is you get the blade opening up. Mm-hmm. So while removing stiffness from the taper, we also increase the torsional stiffness. So you can load the shaft without that blade opening up on you.
Right. It's easier to load, but you're not sacrificing accuracy as you're
Exactly.
shooting.
Exactly.
And then, so the second part of that question was touching on the blade of this Project X, and I mean how it compares to that AX9. But yeah, so maybe just walk me through the internal construction and
Sure.
maybe the differences, if there are any, between this and the AX9.
Yeah, well, they're very similar, blade constructions, and one of the things we wanted to do was create a very stiff blade and a very lightweight package, which is challenging, and which other companies have honestly failed to do. It's typically you get down in that weight category and you got a very soft blade, but we know from testing that something with a lower kick, you typically want a stiffer blade, and we were able to keep the stiffness about the same as the AX9. Actually just a touch stiffer, although most people probably won't notice a difference. The main difference being that within this part of the blade, we went from 96 grams in the AX9 down to 85 grams in the Project X. So we removed quite a bit of weight, but we kept the performance pretty much the same as the AX9 and the stiffness pretty much the same as the AX9. The main difference is going to be the weight. The construction is very similar. We use our braided rib technology that runs along the bottom edge through the heel and also through the center of the blade. That also helps us to increase our stiffness in a really lightweight package.
Oh, that's exciting because, so like you mentioned, some of those sticks did have a little more softer overall feel than, what most low kick players are looking for. So
Yeah.
If you are looking for a super stiff but also super light stick, this is going to be right up your alley. Now to finish this off, graphically, this is a big departure from, your pretty traditional, nice classic looking sticks that have always looked great, but this year they look a little bit different. What was the kind of the thought process behind that?
Well, we wanted a stick that looked as good as it performed, right? And that's a challenge. We wanted it to really pop. We wanted it to be noticed, but also keep that kind of traditional look that we've always had. So we've got a new full chrome finish. You can see from the top all the way down. You can see chrome highlights through the stick. Very simple, just a little bit of color pop, true on the front, and Project X on the back. And one of the things you'll notice, you'll see quite a few NHL players using this stick this year. This X really kind of pops. It's what we call a laser chrome. Really kind of jumps off the stick, and you see it from a pretty good distance. So really good looking stick. Our graphic designers did an excellent job on this one, and really proud of it. We think the graphic goes with the stick.
Definitely. So you have to keep your eye out for that X out there. But for maybe those who aren't, paying attention too much on that, what are some of the key marquee players that we're going to see, your true athletes starting the season, or by the time this video comes out, maybe, in the middle of the season, using the Project X?
Well, we've got more players in this stick on day one than any other stick we've ever made. And I hate to put a number out there because it's always a moving target, but the last number I saw was 30 players using the stick when the season starts. So huge number compared to any other stick we put out there. Just a testament to the performance. Mitch Marner will be in the stick. Ryan Johansson will be in the stick.
Yeah.
So you'll see those guys using it day one. There's many other out there. We're making some headway on the pro side with these types of designs and other designs we're working on as well. But with regards to NHL acceptance of a stick, definitely having some good success with the Project X.
Yeah, sounds like it's a hit already, and can't wait to see how it plays out on the ice when here the rink's finally open. But
yeah,
Brian, thank you so much for joining us today and walking us through that Project X.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
Absolutely. And then for you guys at home that want to check out and order your Project X, make sure you go to icewarehouse.com.